To start off the local news, from the Times-Standard, Eureka settles Hansen civil lawsuit for $200K. Under agreement, city and its insurance carrier each paid $100K. This article follows up on the Tawny Hansen case against the city of Eureka and most notably the city manager David Tyson and her allegations of harassment. Her $1.4 million lawsuit was settled for $200,000, of which half will be paid by the city of Eureka against city council wishes. Tyson said the council also did not need to approve the city's portion of the settlement payment because the city's budget contains an annual line item of about $100,000 to pay for claims and deductibles. As the city manager, that's where my authority comes from, to pay bills, Tyson said. Essentially, Tyson has paid for what should have been his own court case with city money.
Next up, we've got from the Humboldt Herald, surprise, Tyson through to 2012. David Tyson previously said he would step down from his position as Eureka City Manager, but got a 3-month extension in December from the Eureka City Council. You would think that an employee who cost the city $100,000 more than the salary would be fired, not to mention the reputation it entails. Now the newly elected, more conservative council has voted to keep Tyson through to 2012. Now from the North Coast Journal, the council that kicked the Hornet's nest, a group of Eurekans called the West Side Community Group obtained $600,000 of city redevelopment money to buy the closed Jefferson School last September. With tens of thousands of city money invested, as well as WCG Energies, the newly elected Eureka City Council voted to cancel the purchase. Lone dissenting council member Linda Atkins from Ward 2 thinks backdoor deals are behind the vote, saying the interests to be served are aligned with the campaign financing of Newman, Brady, and Madsen. They retort that the vote fulfills their campaign promises of fiscal responsibility. Jefferson may become a College of the Redwood satellite campus or valuable apartments otherwise. WSG vied for tenants such as the Red Cross, the Humboldt Literacy Project, a local food production company, and most importantly, Fuente Nueva, a publicly funded Spanish immersion charter school.
Moving on, from the North Coast Journal, the Daycare Drought covers the rapidly declining amount of affordable child care in our country and how it is affecting Humboldt County. Discussing the slashes to funding by Governor Schwarzenegger, it explains that parents who have some type of child care subsidy are being hit the worst. Also, those who provide child care are being hit with a drop in business because of these funding issues. These cuts are a result of a misguided spending policy on the part of the government. Children are being killed in other countries with money used for bombs and bullets that should be funding books and education instead. From the North Coast Journal, Unnatural Foods is an expose of the Orwellian doublespeak being used to market toxic foods as natural. It states that food that hasn't been certified organic, and even that term has been watered down, is likely to have been manufactured or produced using some type of toxic process or chemical along the way. Hexane is mentioned throughout the article as being a known neurotoxin that is used in the processing of non-organic soy products such as energy bars and veggie burgers, as well as soy, corn, and canola oils. Again, we cannot trust the government or corporations to protect us from toxins in our food. It is up to each of us to begin to learn where the food you eat comes from.
Now from the North Coast Journal, Search and Suspend. Last February, Carlos Espinosa was a junior at Arcata High School who wore a hoodie with cannabis humor saying 421 just did it with a Nike swoosh-like pipe. After a teacher complained, he put the hoodie away in his mother's car, which was later involuntarily searched, revealing some of his mother's Valium and cannabis that he did not know of. AHS suspended him for 5 days, then expelled him. Carlos's mom decided to sue and refused to sign a plea bargainish suspended expulsion contract, which carries a strict disciplinary demand and professes guilt. Many settle for this rather than arduous months-long expulsion appeal processes. Carlos's attorney, Peter Martin, believes suspended expulsion a violation of Fifth Amendment rights and subverts due process. AHS was defeated once before in court on First Amendment grounds after suspending a long-haired student in 1966. Despite losing, AHS appealed up to the Supreme Court, which denied hearing the case, and thus set a legal precedent for free expression via hairstyle. Carlos's suit is still underway and alleges AHS staff acted, quote, as both prosecutor and judge, creating a situation more likely to come to an unjust result. Hopefully, Carlos will prevail.
From the Humboldt Herald, proposed pot regs stink. Robert Sutherland from Southern Humboldt described the problems he sees with Humboldt County's draft marijuana ordinance. Problems include bans on odor, draconian code enforcements, and unequal protections under the law. Sutherland concludes, we are better off with no ordinance than this one.
Now from the North Coast Journal, Southern Discomfort. Satonska David Sky retreated to the hills east of Garverville after living a lie for 15 years as a U.S. State Department contractor. Now Sky farms and jars his own food like how he grew up on the Wind River Indian Reservation in Wyoming. Sky suggests others start learning to live off the land rather than stress just selling cannabis in poor market conditions. Unfortunately, there are meth labs and pedophiles in his family's vicinity, and concerns have yet to be heard by Humboldt County Supervisor Cliff Clendenden. Sky decided to start hosting Southern Humboldt Community Roundtable meetings he hopes become quarterly. Now talk has started of forming an Emerald City in spite of their lack of representation. A neighbor believes, quote, everything goes in back channels up to the Vatican and Eureka, and the edicts come down, and they are running us like the rest of the county.
From the McKinleyville Press, Supervisors support raw milk ban. This article discusses the recent vote by the Board of Supervisors to retain the ban on raw milk in this county. After much pressure from the FDA and county health officials, the decision was unanimous and is unlikely to be reversed anytime soon. Although rumor has it that there may be a few council members willing to converse with the raw milk advocates and could switch their positions. This county is one of only 3 in the state that have raw milk bans.
Now from the Times-Standard, McKinleyville family suing county over requested airplane easement. The Powells were told by the county that their carport and porch built by a previous owner were not up to code. They discovered then that property modifications in airport vicinity require granting the county a flight easement, giving rights to their property without possession, in this case, airspace. They are about a mile from the normal flight path, but if changed, the easement would prevent recourse for noise issues. The Pacific Legal Foundation representing them argue the county cannot withhold permits, extort flight easements for things with no impact on airport operations, without a penny in compensation. A previous PLF victory ruled that permits cannot be conditional upon unrelated demands. Good luck at defeating codified nonsense. If only we could banish the matrix of legal crap imposing unnecessary complications in people's lives.
And finally, to finish up the local news section, from the North Coast Journal, Hoopa versus FERC details the recent court case between the Hoopa Valley Tribe and the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission over the amount of water flows on the Klamath River. The case went back and forth until, quote, on December 28th, the D.C. District Court of Appeals denied the appeal, basically saying it was up to FERC's discretion to determine serious impacts. Another example of government taking the side of business over personal and environmental health.
Yeah, this is quite unfortunate because as a student activist for external affairs at HSU, I went to a state water resource control board, and it seemed like a pretty apathetic board. I mean, this guy was chewing candy and falling asleep and really didn't care. I mean, his natives are pouring their hearts out about the stress that they're dealing with, and they seem to not really care, even cutting off my comment, which we'll throw on the site and you can check out.
Yeah, pretty standard operation for a lot of bureaucrats, unfortunately.
Yeah, just pass the buck to the